Hi again, and welcome back to our short videos on business studies. We are still in the topic of stakeholders, and what will we uncover today? We will look at stakeholders' rights and responsibilities. Now, when you talk about right and role or responsibility, do they necessarily mean the same? Or, well, do they mean the same? So what is a right and what is a responsibility? So a right would basically mean something that you deserve to receive. All right, it's your right as an employee to be paid, right, for the work that you carried out. So that is an example of a right. How about a responsibility? It's your responsibility as an employee to carry out the task that you're supposed to do, right, in accordance to your employment contracts. Okay, so as you can clearly see, a right and responsibility has two somewhat different meanings, right? A right is for you to be able to say, I can demand for that because it is my right. But a responsibility means that it's something that you would need to carry out. Now, let's look at stakeholders, their rights and responsibilities. Here is one example, a customer, all right? The rights of a customer would be to receive goods and services that comply with the legal requirements, right? To receive goods and services that complies with legal requirements, to be safe, to be consumed and things like that. This is the right of a customer, all right? And the role of a customer, almost as much as possible, is, well, not to steal, right? To pay what you purchase, to pay what you pick, right? To make sure that you don't steal, you don't make false claims about things that are not true. For example, you purchase something that works really fine the first day, but you return to the store the next day to say that there's some malfunction, the buttons are not working, or things like that. Making false claims is not right. So a role of a customer is to ensure that these things do not happen, to be honest, to be clear, do not steal, to make false claims. Right? Now, as you are well aware, since we have covered this topic before, the previous chapter on stakeholders, you know who are the other stakeholders involved, right? So my activity for you would be to actually look at the remaining A, B, C, and D stakeholders, right? To know who are these stakeholders. But of course, to help you, I will give you descriptions of their rights and their roles or their responsibilities. It's all given here. All right. So what do you have to do? You would have to name that stakeholder. Who is A? Who is B? Who is C? And who is D? I will leave you some time. I hope you have a pen and a paper with you, all right? Or you may pause this video for a while to take a look at all the descriptions. Know or list out who is A, B, C, and D, and we'll check out the answers in the next slide. Now, let's look at your answers. Customer was given earlier, so that's no longer an answer that you have chose. The second one, A, is employee. So what does an employee do? All right, and what is the right of an employee? So a right of an employee is to be compensated for the things that they carry out, all right, and basically in terms of wages, salary, overtimes, right? The responsibility of an employee, on the other hand, is to ensure that they carry out the things that they're supposed to, that is stipulated in the employment contract. right? Now, the stakeholder labeled B is supplier. All right, so a supplier's right is to receive payment from the business when, of course, supplies are provided to them. All right, at the same time, it is the responsibility of the suppliers to ensure that the goods and the services that they provide to these businesses are of reasonable quality, all right? And if there is a need to provide replacements for any defects, they should, okay? Now, stakeholder C, on the other hand, is the government. The government looks at, receiving payments from business, right, through corporate and business tax or business tax, right? So that's a right. A business cannot do away with it. They would need to comply and they will need to submit whatever that is needed in terms of this area. At the same time, it is the responsibility of the government to make sure that all businesses are treated fairly, equally, under the laws that governs the particular country, and to ensure there is no unfair competition. The stakeholder labeled D is community. Yes, you're right. Right? So community, what are the rights of the community? To be consulted about new projects taking place in their area, right? For example, a business decides to open a new shopping mall in a residential area or close to a residential area. The people around it needs to be consulted to get feedback, right? At the same time, it's also important for the community to provide support to the businesses, right? It's a role that they need to carry out as well, right? Wherever needed, the necessary supports like business, for example, public transportation. Okay, if let's say there is a need for the business to also create, a new line of transportation or a new train line to that particular area to help employees who are working from that area to go to work. All right, so these are some reasonable requests that businesses may put out to the community, where the community's responsibility is to listen, hear them out, and to support where necessary, right? So if you've gotten a correct answer for employee, suppliers, government, and community, then yay, you would have scored 4 out of 4 right. I hope it was something that you could have done because you would have covered this in class. At the same time, the emphasis of this content is to basically enhance your memory or knowledge even further. So as a takeaway, what should you know from this short chapter? You should understand the rights and responsibilities of each stakeholder. Right, examinations questions could ask you about the different rights and responsibilities for stakeholders that business needs to consider in making a particular decision. Right, what are their rights, what is the responsibility? It is important to understand this part of it. We have come to the end of today's short class, and I hope you were able to follow through. And if you like this video and you think it's useful to your friends and family members and whoever's taking business studies, please do like or share, or go through my other videos as well. Let me know if you have any questions through the comment box if possible. And till I see you again, have a pleasant day ahead.